Namaskar. In the last 3 to 4 discourses, we have learned what meditation is. That is dhyana. In this discourse, I'll be taking you to the last anga in Ashtanga Yoga, that is Samadhi. What is Samadhi? Look at this word, Samadhi. It is a combination of two Sanskrit words, Sama plus Adi. Adi means beginning. Sama means balance, a perfect state of equanimity, a perfect state of equilibrium. So, in the beginning, everything is in perfect balance. That is the translation of this word Samadhi. In the beginning. In the beginning means before the creation. Before the creation, everything was in perfect balance. It was a state of nothingness. It was a complete darkness. It was a deep void. And nothing was there except deep void. And therefore, in that state, everything was in balance. This state of nothingness, which contains everything, that is the paradox of it, of this state of nothingness. Nothingness does not mean no thing is present in it. In this state of nothingness, everything is contained. That is the meaning of the state of nothingness. And this state of nothingness should be taken in that sense, not in the negative sense of total emptiness, sunyam. That is not the meaning. Even this state of nothingness has everything that is contained in it. Therefore, this state of nothingness cannot be simply viewed as a complete emptiness in the negative sense. So everything was in perfect balance. So all that is contained in this state of nothingness is yet to take manifestation. It is yet to come out and take multiple and infinite forms and shapes. It is yet to come out. The creation is yet to come out. So, in the beginning of creation, everything was in a perfect state of balance. Everything was in perfect state of equilibrium. Now, this is the actual meaning of the word Samadhi. And sadhaka must reach that state of nothingness, where the sadhaka will be perfectly balanced. He will be stabilized. He will be established in that complete state of equilibrium. And if sadhaka can gain that kind of state, he is in the state of samadhi. That is the meaning of the word samadhi. Now, what actually is in this state? It is, we have just now learned this state is a state of nothingness, but this state of nothingness is what is known as the state of pure consciousness. One of the aspects of the ultimate reality, and of course it manifests and expresses itself in each individual according to the nature of the degree of presence of mind. So therefore the sadhaka who attains this state expresses that state of pure consciousness according to the nature of his own mind. That is the medium. The medium is very important through which the consciousness expresses itself. So I hope the listeners have understood this word samadhi. So in a way we can say that samadhi is an advanced stage of meditation. We have already learned in the last 2 to 3 discourses 3 stages of meditation. The first stage is called preparatory stage, and all of us are in this stage, in this state only. This is called preparatory stage. Now in this stage, when we sit and close our eyes, all thoughts come, enter, and they disturb us, and we fail to concentrate on anything, right? And we fail to control or eliminate this disturbance of thought or thoughts. So there are certain schools which say that focus your attention on breathing so that the thought can be arrested. But then every time when you concentrate on your breathing, then thought comes and disturbs you, and then you are completely weaned away from the attention being focused on your breathing. So there is a constant conflict between breathing and the thought. So the speaker advises the listeners to just watch the thoughts. Let thoughts come. Let thoughts come and go. And you remain as a mere spectator. Just keep watching without interpreting, without commenting, without passing any value judgment on your thoughts, without saying that this thought is good, that thought is bad, without discriminating the thoughts. Just keep watching the thoughts. Let thoughts come and go. So at one stage, all the thoughts will go away, right? They disappear, and you move into a state where there is no thought, and this state is the state of beginning of meditation. So when you enter this state, we are entering the stage number 2 in meditation, right? And when that is in this stage, what happens? The breathing is completely synchronized with the silencing of the thought process. As the thoughts recede slowly and steadily, and at one stage you enter into a state where there is no thought, then your breathing becomes regular, even, and rhythmical, almost becomes silent, utterly silent. You may not feel that you are really breathing. So that is the kind of equation that you will reach, you will experience between breathing and when thoughts completely subside. When thoughts completely subside, your breathing also becomes regular, even, and rhythmical. Now, the this is what happens in the second stage of meditation. But when this stage is further deepened, when you plunge deeply and when you stabilize yourself in this state and continue to meditate, the speaker said, this is the actual beginning of meditation. And when you deepen yourself in this state, stabilize yourself, and continue in this state for long, right? You enter into a third stage of meditation, that is the advanced stage of meditation, where the thoughts are completely annihilated, the mind is completely annihilated. In the second stage, though the mind withdraws, thoughts are withdrawn, the mind is still present. The remnants of minds are there, and the mind is not totally obliterated in this stage. But only when you reach the third stage, the mind gets completely destroyed and it is completely eliminated. When it is completely eliminated, you enter into a state of nothingness. And that state of nothingness is what is known as Samadhi, where you are perfectly balanced in that state. You attain that state of equilibrium, where when you touch that the bottom rock of that state of pure consciousness, which is the substratum of creation and life in the entire universe, um, and not merely touching that state, you need to be aware of that state. This is what happens in the state of Samadhi. Samadhi is nothing but being aware of that state of pure consciousness, being conscious of that consciousness. That is called Samadhi. Well, this pure state of consciousness we can notice in the just born babe. The just born babe knows nothing about its own body. The baby is not conscious of its own body. The baby is not conscious of the surrounding. The baby is not conscious of its own mother. It cannot recognize its own father and mother. It cannot recognize anything around it, right? So, but the babe is not aware of that state of consciousness. Whereas here in the yogic sadhana, when you reach that stage, that is what the ultimate object of yoga is, regain that state of consciousness which you have lost, which once you had, you entered into this world with that state of pure consciousness, is now completely lost, right? And the yoga, the ultimate object of yoga is to regain that state of pure consciousness, which you find in the just born babe. But the difference here is the just born babe is not conscious of that consciousness. Whereas in the yogic sadhana, when sadhaka reaches that state, he becomes aware of that state of consciousness. And this is the difference between the presence of that state of pure consciousness, which is one aspect of that ultimate reality, which is present in the babe, and the sadhaka who attains that stage through sadhana. Now, this is the difference that we have noticed in this in the babe as well as the sadhaka who is an adult, who undergoes all those the stages of sadhana. Those stages of sadhana have been expounded in Ashtanga Yoga by Patanjali. This is what happens when you reach that state of consciousness, not merely getting lost in that state of pure consciousness, but at the same time becoming aware of that state of consciousness. No, this is something difficult to capture and experience it. Well, then, this is what the advanced yogis, the great sages, would undergo this kind of experience. They they reach that state and then become aware of that state of consciousness. Now, and this, when they reach that stage and become aware of that pure state of consciousness, and that awareness of that pure state of consciousness pervades the whole day and night. So they live constantly in that state of samadhi, though in the wakeful state also. Uh, Even in the wakeful state, they will be in the state of samadhi. And when you reach that kind of stage, that is called sahaja samadhi, that is natural state of samadhi. That is, it is not experiencing that state of samadhi for 1 hour or 2 hours and coming back to this wakeful state and then losing it. Uh, it's not like that. Even in the wakeful state, that state of samadhi is continued. So, for the advanced yogi, that is sage, that is rishi, and such a person is called jnani, and such a person who attains that state also continues that state of samadhi in the wakeful state, not merely experiencing that state for a couple of hours or more than that, or remaining in that state for a week or a few days, and then when he comes back to this physical world, when he becomes conscious of this physical world, and that state of samadhi takes a back seat. Not like that. But even in the wakeful state too, the sadhaka, that great sage, keeps that state of samadhi. He remains in that state of samadhi moment by moment, and this is called natural state of samadhi. That he doesn't make any difference, not necessarily when he sits in meditation that he slips into that state of samadhi, but even when he comes out of that state of meditation, he carries that state of samadhi in the wakeful state too. Now, this is and when the sadhaka, the advanced yogi, attains that state, he becomes jnani, he becomes rishi, jnani. He is completely stabilized in that state of wisdom, pure wisdom and knowledge, and that is called prajna. Prajna means wisdom, pure knowledge. And when he gains that state of pure wisdom and knowledge, he is completely achieved what is known as the state of liberation, moksha, kaivalya, what we call it by various names, kaivalya, liberation, or nirvana in Buddhistic terminology, and so on. So this is what samadhi is. But then in the state of samadhi, there are various stages that sadhaka may undergo and pass through. And these stages, according to to the level of mind that sadhaka has, expresses that state, that experience in different forms, and therefore samadhi has its own varieties. For example, there is one kind of samadhi called jada samadhi. That is, jada samadhi means you may sit motionless. There will not be any physical movement um, in your sitting posture. And this motionlessness of the physical body may be mistaken for the state of samadhi. So sometimes the sadhaka may be led to believe that he is in the state of samadhi when he sits long without moving his body, without moving any part in his body. Um, it becomes almost motionless. The body becomes stiff. When the body becomes stiff, and this stiffness of the body in that posture may be mistaken for samadhi. And people outside may also tend to uh, take that kind of state for samadhi. And this kind of sitting long without moving body, making the body stiff, but mind is present. Remember, mind is present, mind is active, mind keeps wandering, but body becomes motionless. So it gives such kind of impression that the sadhaka or such a person is in a state of samadhi. But that's not called samadhi. And that kind of samadhi where the sadhaka becomes motionless, that does not move his body and keeps his body stiff, and such a person may be mistaken for samadhi, but that is not actually samadhi. It is called jada samadhi, and jada samadhi is not a real samadhi. And likewise, we have two varieties of samadhi. These two broad varieties Patanjali discusses include Samprajñanatha Samadhi, Asamprajñanatha Samadhi. Look at this in each of these expressions. Samprajña, there is a key word. Prajña. Prajña means wisdom. We have just now learned. Pure knowledge. Only when you reach that state of pure consciousness, you can experience that state, that wisdom. You can gain that wisdom. You will become a jnani. So this is the common word both in Samprajñanatha Samadhi and Asamprajñanatha Samadhi. Now the Samprajñanatha Samadhi is the real state. That is the ultimate state of Samadhi. That is the pure state of Samadhi. Whereas Asamprajñanatha, look at this, A is added to the Samprajñanatha Samadhi. Now this state, A in Sanskrit stands for not. So this state of Samadhi is completely opposed to the state of Samprajñanatha Samadhi. But the sadhaka has to move from the state of Asamprajñanatha Samadhi to the state of Samprajñanatha Samadhi. So the common word in these two states of samadhi is prajna, that is wisdom. But what makes the difference between these two kinds of samadhi? That is the presence of pratyaya. Pratyaya means the total content of mind. This total content of mind includes everything: mental images, mental impressions, opinions, judgments, past experiences, memories, and so on and so forth. All these put together called as pratyaya. So the presence of pratyaya in its degree that makes the difference between Samprajnanatha Samadhi and Asamprajnanatha Samadhi. Well, we shall examine these two states in greater detail in our next discourse, and I hope the listeners have understood what exactly Samadhi is. Samadhi means the state of perfect balance, and this state of perfect balance, equilibrium, when you attained, then you are in the state of Samadhi. And this was the state of the whole creation, that is in the beginning of creation, or before the whole creation got manifested. And this was the state, and this state is what is known as Samadhi. So even the whole creation, before the creation itself, was in that state of perfect balance. So when the sadhaka attains that stage, he is said to be in the state of Samadhi. Namaskar.